All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are on our last pop-up for our Elements of Art pop-up book. We are going to be doing space. Now I'm going to apologize in advance. I made a couple of errors in the file that I didn't really realize until a little bit ago. So I will walk you through how to fix that because I've already printed up the dead tree and I don't intend to print any more. So we're going to make this work. So let me show you the two sheets. These are the two sheets here. Page 2 and page 1, 1 and 2, because I did it backwards. My first mistake was right here. I forgot to fix these file names. So this is supposed to be glue tab foreground. This one is correct. But this is actually the midground. And back over here is the background. So take the time to kind of label these so you know which one's supposed to be where, because you're going to need all of that information. These are all of the box folds. Now your box mechanism is screwed up. Based on my original prototype, it would have worked. It doesn't here, but we can still make this work for us, and we will. So those are the two screw-ups that I made. We have all of these pieces. It's actually pretty simple. As far as coloring it in, I want you to apply what we talked about with space. So the foreground area is going to be darker colors. It's going to be warmer colors. The background area is going to be cooler colors and lighter colors. If you want to paint purple or color purple mountains, go for it. If you want to be blue, go for it. Cooler colors. Once you have these all colored in, and I know they're really detailed, but once you have them all colored in, you're going to cut them out. So we have that here. We have our foreground, we have our midground, and we have our background. And they'll layer roughly like this here. So it'll be pretty detailed and it'll look really cool once it's all said and done. Excuse me. And we're going to start here with these mechanisms. Now you'll notice I've got 4 box folds here, and then I have 2 main mechanisms. These are actually what's going to go in your book. So we're going to cut these out first, and these are what I screwed up because reasons. The reason being I'm human and mistakes happen. We're going to put the box folds that go in between. You'll notice that they're labeled mid to back, front to mid. They go in between these layers. So we're going to put these off here to the side, and we're going to come over here. You'll notice I already went on ahead and folded these. I need to refold this one, and what I want to do is I'm going to take this corner right here, and I'm going to make it match this one right here. So I'm going to fold this in half so that these two seams match, and I'm just going to nick it right there like that. Okay? My goal is to actually make these stand up as dramatically as possible. You guys remember in the overview castle how it kind of didn't stand up all that well? Well, we're going to try to fix that a little bit. We're going to make it stand up a little bit more. I'm actually going to cut these glue tabs down just a little bit. Now we do have an additional step here that I'm going to talk about here in just a second. And cut these in half because instead of going directly into the book, we're actually going to attach it to the foreground first. So we're going to take the foreground and I'm going to fold this tab right here. Just like every other thing, take your time and make sure that fold is straight and clean. Make sure that your fold is right on top of that dotted line. Make sure your crease is clean. I missed it just a little bit, so let's fix that real fast. Okay, so we have this glue tab here, and this is going to be our foreground. And what's going to happen is the mechanism actually needs to glue to this and here before we glue it into the book. So these two tabs are going to connect, and then this whole piece, these two pieces right here will connect to that, and then this whole piece will actually glue into the book. So let's start here with the tabs. The foreground here, so foreground here needs to match up to the back of that, and then the glue tab will come down here. So we're going to do that like so. So I'm going to put glue on both of these sections, and just like everything else that we've glued thus far, we are going to smear that bad boy in and make sure that the tab is covered thoroughly with the glue, and then we get rid of all the excess. Okay? And then I'm going to take, again, the foreground. I'm going to line this crease right here up with this crease right here. So we're going to put the glue tab in right there and the foreground in right there. We're going to smudge that in there and kind of press that in so that we end up with this funky little piece hanging out. And we'll do the exact same thing with the other side. So glue on foreground, glue on glue tab, smudge that bad boy in, like so. Excess glue gone because we don't want to be all goopy and goppy. And we're going to line this fold right here up to this fold right here. So we're just going to slide that on in there, scooch it up, and press it down up against that piece. Okay? Because this is the piece that we're going to use to drive the mechanism. So let me open up to an empty page. This will work. You guys have assigned pages for this, but this is just my prototype book, so we'll fiddle with this later. Make sure that these are mostly dry. And what you want to do is you want to line the front of foreground up to that margin, and you want to line the back of that piece up to that margin. Okay, see how it stands up a little bit more? It's mostly because the box fold itself is bigger. Side note, I did the lines. That fold in the middle is actually what needs to be glued here. So I need to glue this section to the foreground as well. So I'm going to do that really quick because I didn't think about it before. So I'm going to put the glue up here. I'm going to smudge that in. Just like everything else, you always put the glue on the smaller piece, not the larger, so that you don't accidentally over glue. I'll do the same thing here where I'm smudging that in and making sure I'm getting rid of the excess glue just like before. I'm going to press those up. So they should connect a little bit higher. They should connect to about halfway where you did the additional fold in half because I messed up. I'm sorry. And I don't want to waste dead trees. Okay? So we have this whole piece here. And again, you're going to install this close to the seam. Close to the seam, up against the margin line. Up against the margin line because you want it to stand up. Like so. Okay? And that's how that's going to install. Right over here. So we're going to start with this piece here, and we're going to line this corner up to the light pink margin that you'll have in your book. You probably won't see it on the video because reasons being it's really light. Give myself my glue, smudge that in really good. Again, cover the entire tab. Remove excess glue. I'm going to look like a scaly fish here in a little bit, but that's okay. And we're going to line this corner up to that margin. Make sure the top and bottom are all nice and lined up. And then I'm going to press that in to make sure that it stays. Goals is for that to be firmly attached. So make sure that you take the time to make sure it is firmly attached. If it is not even, it's going to fall out and break. I'm straightening these out really quick so I can come from this end. Okay? And then you're going to attach both of these. So I'm going to put my glue tab here, yoink, and this glue tab here, yoink. And we're going to smudge that in because reasons being that's what you're supposed to do. So just follow the instructions. Smudge that down, same steps as always. Line the tab up to your margin and press. Tab up to your margin and press. And go inside of there just like you did with the original thing and do it again. Okay? So that when the book opens up, it's at a slight angle, like so. So it stands up nice. Now, these guys, the mid-ground and all that, are going to be connected using these box folds. It's a little bit more complex. So I have mid to back and front to mid. It really doesn't matter if you mix them up. I labeled them really just to make sure that you knew you needed 2 for each. So we're going to do the front to mid ones right here. I'm going to cut these in half. And we are going to start by gluing them right here on the back, like so. Okay? So it's going to attach right above your mechanism, like that, because the mechanism will help it stay even. So we're going to put our glue in, we're going to smudge it out, and we're going to attach. Yoink, nice and even. Apply pressure. Okay? We'll do the same thing for the other one. Put glue on the tab, a bit more, smudge it out, install it right over top of the mechanism, make it all nice and even, and apply pressure so the glue sticks well. You may have to go back a couple of times and keep applying pressure. Remember, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds for that glue to be tacky enough that you can let it go. Okay? While that's drying, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to fold this glue tab. Again, making sure that I am as even with that as possible. So I'm not trying to rush that fold. I want it to be on that dotted line because reasons. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to glue this tab down first. Thin line of glue. Smudge the snot out of it. Make sure your tab is fully covered. Line this bad boy up. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricksy. You want to kind of come over here like this and finagle a little bit. Make sure you're lined up. You want it to be parallel with the margin line. You can kind of see I'm pretty well parallel. There's a little bit of adjustment that can be made. Apply that pressure. I'm not too worried about these yet. I'm going to install them in a minute to line that up. Fix my little clock tower that got smushed. Okay? Y'all can't see it until I do like this. Yay! See, it's pretty cool. All right, we're going to add glue to that while this is drying. Yoink. Glue, glue, glue. Try not to get it stuck to it. Yoink. Glue, glue, glue. This is fun. Sound effects included at no additional charge. You know how this works. Okay, so we're going to stand this castle up. We're going to lower our box folds so that they're at the same level on both sides, so a little bit lower. And we're just going to apply that little bit of pressure here on this. Move the book if you need to. I'm being kind of stubborn. And that's going to install there. So when we close this, okay, it's going to have a whole new fold in here. We're just going to let the book determine that fold. I lost my pages. Up there. See how it made a brand new crease for us? We're going to let that one go. So that when it opens up, it will pull up that back piece. So it now folds shut, and it opens up, like so. This one raised up. Yeah, that one raised up significantly, so I'm going to adjust that really quick, down a little bit farther. Okay, so 2 of them, look at that. Now we're going to do the third. Same process. Fold on that line, make sure it's all there, crease that, okay? And we're going to do the same thing with these guys. We're going to cut them in half. We're going to apply them to either side. So I'm going to put glue on one side. I'm going to glue it down a little bit. So if I shut my book just a little bit, I'm going to try to glue it right about here, about halfway in. Okay? I'm going to go a little bit more center this time. We need these both to be at the same height, and they do need to be parallel. So make sure that you're lining them up so that they're as parallel as possible. Okay? Smudging in more glue. Sorry, I did that off camera. I didn't mean to. Set this up here and connect that in. And then just like before, we are going to put glue on this big old tab, like that. Please don't make the sound effects in class. It's going to get really, really ridiculously loud if all y'all fly in airplanes to glue the tabs. I didn't do it. Go in close, just like before. It needs to be parallel. We're going to let it fold itself and find that area itself because reasons. We need to scooch it up just a little. Commit that in there. Okay, and then we're going to put glue on the tab, glue on the tab. We're going to smudge it. And smudge it some more. Get the excess off of here. I am so glued up right now. And we are going to connect these down here. Make sure that they are as parallel as possible. I'm going to rotate my book a little bit to kind of get that in here. And apply a little bit of pressure. And we're going to end up with a fold down the middle again, okay? So we're going to slowly fold that up. All that fun stuff. And then we're going to open it. And then we have space with a foreground, midground, and background that all folds shut, and it looks pretty darn cool. Once you have this all nice and colored, see? Look at that. It's so neat. You get to see all that. Awesome. That's what you got to get doing. Get her done.